Good day. As we know, on 8 March of this year, we celebrated International Women's Day. And to celebrate the phenomenal women who are doing great things around the world, Tshaya Mashabela Attorneys has decided to showcase women innovators and creatives throughout the month. And in keeping with that, we are chatting today to Sandiswa Qayi. Sandiswa is the founder of AET Africa, and she has invented the hotspot, which she has described as the condom for your geyser. She invented this hotspot mainly because she was tired of switching the geyser on and off. And to that effect, the invention makes your geyser 27% more energy efficient. So Sandiswa, welcome and thank you for chatting to us. I just wanted to just start off by asking you to please tell us about yourself and what it is that you do.
Okay. I'm Sandiswa Qayi. I'm the managing director of AET Africa. I'm also an innovator and an entrepreneur. I come from a rural background, but I'm based in East London. And so, yeah, I'm passionate about economic development, innovation, entrepreneurship, and skills development in general. So, yeah, in a nutshell, that's a summary of who I am.
Oh, perfect. And please just tell us, so seeing as though we're celebrating women innovators, what is it that put you on your map? What was on the map? What was the innovation that you created and made people stand up and notice Sandiswa?
Okay, the innovation that I started with is called the hotspot geyser sleeve, which is a retrofit solution for your geyser, your standard geyser at home. It put me on the map because I was one of the people who was experiencing the pain of having to switch your geyser on and off and feeling the pressure of paying high cost of electricity. And as I said, as someone who comes from economic development background, I'm always passionate in terms of what kind of solutions or interventions that we can do that can result in economic development or even change in terms of life, socioeconomic status of other people. So the hotspot, it's one of the main innovations that I'm known for.
Oh, I have to get that for my mom. I know that pain as well. Like every night, the question is, did you switch off the geyser? In the morning, is the geyser on?
That's the thing. And now with load shedding, you have to worry about the time schedule in terms of the load shedding. If the electricity goes off at 6 o'clock in the morning or 3 to 6, will you have enough hot water then to shower before you get to work?
No
so,
way.
you know, that's how come it becomes even more relevant now.
Okay, so you are the prime example of the adage that necessity is the mother of all invention.
Exactly, that's the thing.
All right, and tell me, so when did it occur to you that you needed to protect that innovation that you came up with? Like, when was your first interaction with intellectual property? Had you always known about it?
Interestingly, for me and my partners, when we came up with the hotspot, we already started with another innovation within the company. So within the period 2014 and 2015, that's when we were introduced into the IP space. And at that stage, we were working with the Science and Technology Park, East London ITZ. So we had people who were visiting and talking about IPs and patents. So that's how I got introduced in terms of the innovation and the protection of the innovation.
Okay, and what kind of intellectual property rights do you have in relation to your invention?
Okay, currently we've got trademark, we've got the South African complete patent. At some stage, we even applied for the PCT.
Oh, wow. So can you just explain to people what PCT is, just so it clears up, because not a lot of people are familiar with the fact that IP, or particularly patents, are a territorial right. So just because you applied for a patent in South Africa doesn't mean you have worldwide protection.
Okay, so what we're looking at in terms of the PCT was to make sure that we can protect the IP internationally. And then in terms of when we had to choose the regions, then we had to prioritize South Africa as the first point. But then the plan is to also look into other regions, because we also plan to expand to different African regions as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. And then I wanted to just find out how Tshaya Mashabela IP has been instrumental in helping you in terms of making sure that your intellectual property rights are protected and that you get as much value from that as possible.
Okay. As I said, we got introduced in this space in 2014 and 15. And then the very first company we worked with was Mashabela. And at that stage, I'll be honest with you, we didn't even have like an IP strategy in place. So it was all new. So to work with them via the Innovation Hub and via this STP really resulted in us having our very first patent of the heat radar, which is the other innovation under AET, done via Mashabela. So since then, since 2014, 2015, we've been working together, and we're still working together, and we're learning more every day, because even now when we started to consider venturing into Ghana, they were my first point of contact to say, right now we're considering partnering with a Ghana company. What is the plan that we need to have in place? So we've been interacting along those lines as well.
Okay. Wow, that's really very interesting. And it's good. It seems to me like, just hearing you, like you've got a good relationship with your IP lawyer, which is what you need, you know. You don't want to be like thinking twice about approaching your lawyer to ask them like for advice and what the next steps are, or how to strategize going forward.
You know, the lawyers are costly. Eh? Sometimes just to pick up the phone and ask for an opinion, it costs money. So I'm really grateful in terms of the relationship I've got with them, because honestly, we do send emails, we exchange ideas, and they don't just accept whatever you say. If I say, okay, I want to file a trademark in Ghana without me advising me to say, but this is what we have in place, and this is the plans that you're considering, how about to go up, we do this and that. So it's a good relationship, and I'm really grateful in terms of the kind of advice that I get from them.
Okay, excellent. And just on that note still, can you please just tell us about some of the pitfalls that you have avoided, like on account of having an IP lawyer? You know, a lot of people might fall into traps, like, for instance, giving away their IP without even knowing the value of it and so forth. So what kind of pitfalls did you guys avoid through having legal representation?
You know, one of the things that I mean, just to go through the journey of IP, from my experience, it's costly, and it's very easy for someone to give up in terms of looking at the requirements, in terms of even the technicalities that are involved, and some of the pitfalls, I mean, that I think are common, is to go into that level of technical detail, because it's something else to just write your idea and just file in a rush. But if you've got a diligent and a proper IP attorney that can advise you and indicate in terms of what are the shortcomings, and really get to understand what is your strategy, or even your vision going forward, because sometimes you just want to do a quick win because you're trying to think about cost. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the day, those cost implications, as much as you might save the cost, but it comes back to bite you if then it's not aligned to what you want to achieve in the long run. So to have that proper plan, because I remember some of the discussions we had was, okay, rather give me the long list of what I need to do, and then I understand fully the cost of doing the exercise, even if we do one step at a time and how long it takes, but at least I've got a clear vision and a clear plan in terms of what I want to achieve. So sometimes really, I think the pitfall is around the financial implications, and then at the same time, that the fact that you want to have like quick wins without considering what does it mean in the long term. And we've seen people just sold their rights or not getting to that level of describing your patent to a point that it protects you going forward. Because I mean, people every day are creative. So it might be that one keyword that you forgot to mention in your application that changes everything. So to have that time to also arrange for meetings, discuss and ask questions if you are not clear, to make sure that you fully understand what is entailed in your patent and the process. For me, I think that's one of the key things that really protected us along the way.
Okay, that's excellent and very good advice, which actually it slides into what I was going to ask you next, which is what advice do you have for current and future innovators?
Okay, then for future innovators, honestly, I will encourage people to do your research. That's where it boils down to, because sometimes it's very painful to realize that after spending 2 or 3 years, you realize that your innovation or your idea is not new and you are infringing on someone else's patent. Because, oh, that's another exercise that we had to do in our case. Before we even go for full patent application, we had to do an infringement search to make sure that whatever we are filing, we've done the necessary steps. So rather engage with your IP attorney or seek advice at an early stage before you go the extra mile and someone comes back and sue you. And honestly, when you don't know, rather ask. And I mean, really, there's a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of research platforms where you can just go and check just the basics part of it, but also I would also encourage that innovators also form a relationship with institutions that assist in terms of IP, because honestly, we couldn't afford the cost of doing the IP process. But it's much important if you go out and seek help from funders as well, so that you do a proper job instead of just doing a rush job and then it costs you at the end of the day.
Okay, wow, that's very sound advice. And a lot of people, you know, we are all excited when we have ideas, and it's devastating if after 3 years, like you said, you don't have any fallback because you find out that your invention was created 5 years ago, but because you didn't know about doing a search, an infringement search, then you end up getting lost in just, you know, working on something that you think is new but is not new. Okay, that's very, very sound advice. And so can you just also tell us like what plans you have for the future in terms of innovating, well, without giving away any secrets, of course.
Okay. In terms of innovation, okay, we found our niche in terms of the energy efficiency space. So we're looking at more ideas in terms of what else we can do within that space and what are the other versions of our current innovations. But at the same time, as I mentioned, the more we explore in terms of the international market, we're also identifying more opportunities. So then there's more that's coming in our pipeline. And then, as I mentioned, we've looked into the trademark, we've looked into West Africa. So that's the route that we want to take. We've got people who are coming to us to say, we're looking for your innovations, even for Europe. So now the next gen is to really develop that IP strategy so that it caters for the growth that we want to have as a company. So there's a lot in the pipeline.
Excellent. That really sounds really great. And I know that you will be very, very busy by the sounds of things, which is a good thing. So I just want to thank you for taking time out to chat to us and to just tell us more about you and, you know, let people know about the great things that you guys are doing. And I
thank you so much, Kuprano, and thank you for giving us this opportunity as well.
Excellent.
Thanks, then.